Little Tokyo is a very diverse community. Historically and even currently, it serves as an entry point for immigrants and people of various backgrounds. It's the second oldest community and neighborhood here in Los Angeles. At the same time, Little Tokyo was named as one of the 11 most endangered neighborhoods in America. My affinity to Little Tokyo goes back to my childhood. As a second generation immigrant, I grew up here. I went to school, elementary school here. Because of the language and cultural barriers, my parents really sought out Little Tokyo as a safe haven, and they opened up a small business here. Little Tokyo is home to over 400 small businesses. An example is Fugetsudo. They're a 120-plus-year-old business, and they're the oldest Japanese American business in the nation. I really consider small businesses to be the socioeconomic engine of any community. What we're trying to do here is really to help support small businesses.
Since its founding in 1979, Little Tokyo Service Center has been contributing to community building and development and revitalization of the neighborhood.
Our mission as Little Tokyo Service Center is to preserve the cultural and historic legacy of the neighborhood. We initially began as predominantly just a social service agency serving monolingual Japanese-speaking seniors. Since then, throughout the 1980s, we've expanded our services and our scope. We do affordable housing, we provide small business assistance, we still do community organizing and planning, and we've expanded our work to touch all throughout the city of LA.
We've been seeing a lot of historic businesses in Little Tokyo have to relocate or go out of business because rents increase or different owners come into the property and they have a different idea for the property.
Suehiro is one of the oldest legacy businesses here in Little Tokyo. My earliest and fondest memory was in Suehiro back in the 1970s, having a meal there with my parents and family. And unfortunately, recently they had to be displaced because of the rising rents.
It's really important to make sure that the institutions, the businesses who made the neighborhood great in the first place and a place that people wanted to come back to are part of the story of the future, just like they were of the past.
So Go for Broke was the motto of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. And Go for Broke essentially means to go all in, to put everything on the line. And that's the motto and the feeling that the soldiers adopted during World War II, because they knew that there was so much more on the line than just a bet. It was their freedom, it was their future, and the future of those that they loved. As many of us know, during World War II, Japanese Americans were incarcerated based solely on the color of their skin and their ancestry. This is a mistake that we as a nation can't afford to make again. The story of what happened to Japanese Americans, the story of how the sons and daughters of immigrants still chose to serve their nation and become the most highly decorated unit in American military history, is a story that's full of lessons for all Americans today as we face so many challenges in our nation. So the Go for Broke monument was built in 1999. And so for 25 years, it essentially sat in the middle of a parking lot. And there had always been plans and dreams of building some type of facility right next to the monument. But through our work with Little Tokyo Service Center, we dreamt of something larger. Why not build something that serves the needs of Little Tokyo and also serves the needs of Los Angeles? So together, we came up with a plan of creating a 5-story building, 330,000 square feet, that will house legacy businesses and restaurants, give Go for Broke a permanent place for our organization, and very excitedly, 248 units of affordable housing that will begin to address the affordable housing crisis in Los Angeles.
Currently, it's a federally designated historic block. Before World War II, it was considered the heart of Little Tokyo. There were thousands of residents living on the block, And unfortunately, in the 1940s and 1950s, because of urban renewal, the city raised most of the block. And it's been sitting as a parking lot for decades. And because of that, we see this as an opportunity to reclaim the block. It's beyond a brick and mortar project for us. It really is a project for the community.
So if you know the old adage, it takes a village, community finance is very much of that mindset. And so this project required a lot of stakeholders to come together.
It was a very complicated project. It has the affordable housing portion and then also the commercial space portion.
We wouldn't have been able to provide a loan of that size on our own. So collaboration was essential to really bringing that amount of financial resources into this project and making it feasible.
It was very important to partner with mission-aligned partners such as Genesis LA and Low Income Investment Fund, because Little Tokyo Service Center is providing below market rent to legacy businesses, but because of that, their project level cash flow was a lot tighter in terms of covering the debt service. For a traditional lender, they might have shied away from that. But because the partners are aligned, we were able to make it work and pull it off.
It really does take a village to build anything and to accomplish anything.
And it's different parts of the community, private, public, nonprofit, saying, how can we do something together to serve the greater good?
You know, without the support of people willing to take the risk and people willing to invest in the people and the places, really we wouldn't have been able to accomplish this. The strength of LTSC is reliant on the strength of other organizations, and really the impact that we're able to produce, it really does take all of us to really push forward.